Good morning from Indiana. Today I'm going to start talking about the first chapter in a three-chapter series, our last series on reproduction and human development. Today I want to talk about chapter 27, the male reproductive system. Again, please find the list that I sent you and try to get the figures and tables printed off so that you can look at them as I am talking. Section 27.1 is titled Sexual Reproduction and Development. This is an overview of the whole reproduction and development series. We know that in humans and in all mammals there are two sexes. In order for reproduction to take place, I'm just reading from your author here, the parents must produce gametes. Gametes are defined as sex cells. And when these gametes meet and combine their genes, that forms a zygote. That's a fertilized egg. All these gametes must have two properties in order to function properly. One is mobility, so that they can achieve contact, and the other are nutrients in order for successful development of an embryo. The smaller motile gamete is, of course, the sperm or spermatozoon from the male, and a large nutrient-laden one is the egg from the female. Now, just a quick overview. The reproductive system in the male serves to produce sperm and introduce them into the female body. The female reproductive system produces eggs. One egg, generally in a human, receives the sperm, provides the union of these gametes, harbors the fetus, gives birth, and then nourishes the offspring. Okay, next page, I want you to look at table 27.1 and be able to describe the analogous external and internal genitalia of the male as compared to the female. Chromosomal sex determination, of course, comes from the fertilization of the egg by a sperm. This fertilized egg, then, as I mentioned, is called the zygote. Each of the gametes have what is called a haploid number of chromosomes. In humans, that would be 13. The zygote then has 13 from the female, 13 from the male, giving the 23 pairs, the 26 chromosomes. A female is produced when there is an X chromosome in the sperm and an X in the egg. A male zygote is produced when there is a Y gamete or a Y chromosome in the sperm and an X gamete in the egg. Okay, now we're going to talk about descent of the gonads. This is something very important, as all of this is. Both the gonads in the male are called sperm. The gonads in the female are called the ovaries. In a small embryo, these are very safely packaged up inside of the abdomen. As the zygote then, or as the embryo develops more and more, these ovaries and our sperm migrate. They come down further into the abdomen and closer to the external genitalia. You can see quite a bit about the embryonic development of the female and male reproductive tracts and development of the external genitalia in figures 27.3 and 27.4. The testes must migrate from inside of the abdomen to the outside down into the scrotum. If these do not make it outside into the scrotum, then there are problems because the heat on the inside of the body will not allow for the formation of sperm cells. This condition is called cryptorchidism, when one or more of the testes do not descend. Now let's look at section 27.2, specifically the male reproductive anatomy. Figure 27.6 shows the male perineum, that is the outside and the external genitalia. 27.7 shows the scrotum containing the ovaries, the testes, all the arteries, veins, and nerves that come down into and supply the testes. It also shows the penis. So study that as you read through your text. Figure 27.9 shows photomicrographs as well as a real-life picture from a cadaver, and then a drawing of one of the testes. It is a very complicated structure. It contains numerous different kinds of cells and different tubes that have different functions. Look at these pictures as you read on page 1036 on into 38. The seminiferous tubules are in the body of the testis, and you can see a picture of the cross-section of one of these tubules in figure D of the figure 27.9. This is where the sperm cells are initially being formed. Then they pass into another extremely long tube called the epididymis. And again, look for that in figure B or part B of figure 27.9. You'll see the epididymis wraps from the upper pole all the way down to the lower pole of the testis. You also see that there is a testicular artery that comes from the abdominal aorta, and this passes to each of the testicles. There's also a testicular vein and testicular nerves. These nerves come from the spinal cord at about the T10, T11 level. There's another picture on figure 27.10 that shows, again, more diagrams of the male reproductive system, showing not in cross-section, in longitudinal section. Shows the bladder, the penis, the rectum, how they are all close to each other. The spermatic ducts include the following: the efferent ductules that arise from the testis and go into the epididymis. Then the epididymis itself, that if it could be stretched out maybe as long as 18 or 20 feet of tubules. And this is where the spermatozoa mature. Then there's the ductus deferens that carries the mature sperm up. It mixes with fluid and then exits the penis after entering the penis through the ejaculatory duct. There are several very important sets of glands that are necessary for proper reproduction. These are described on page 1040. The seminal vesicles, the prostate gland, and the bulbourethral or Cowper glands. Read about these a little bit. 2711, figure 2711 goes along with the reading on those pages, shows the gross anatomy of the penis and then a cross section of the penis to show the erectile tissue in the penis. I want you to again look at these figures as you are reading about the penis itself. Talk very briefly here in section 27.3 about puberty. Puberty is defined as the first few years of adolescence. This is the time until the first menstrual period in a female or until the first ejaculation of viable sperm in males. This occurs sometime between age 12 and age 14. The control of puberty comes from the endocrine system. The hypothalamus produces gonadotropin releasing hormones that then pass to the anterior part of the pituitary gland, which secretes follicular or follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. These are the same hormones that you would find in a female. It's just that they have different functions in the two different sexes. The author talks about a 7-step approach to studying hormonal relationships. These are written on page 1042 and shown in figure 27.12 on page 1043. Again, you will see that this is a cyclic phenomenon with both negative and positive feedback. Section 27.4 discusses sperm and semen. The term spermatogenesis is a difficult sounding word that means the process of sperm production. It occurs, as I mentioned, in the seminiferous tubules inside of the testicles. And there are 3 main events. And you can read about, I'll mention them. Division and remodeling of a very large number of germ cells, then reduction of the chromosome number by 1/2. That is in a process called meiosis, and then a shuffling of the genes so that each sperm carries different genes than each other sperm. Meiosis is shown in figure 27.13. There are 2 divisions. Starts with early prophase, when one cell, this is not an egg, this is one cell in the male we're talking about here, will eventually form into After telophase part 2, we'll show 4 different cells that each have half the number. It's called a haploid number of chromosomes, that being 13 in humans. These 4 cells then go on to develop tails. That's shown in figure 27.15. This process is called spermiogenesis. These are very small, tiny, one-cell beings, if you will. Shows an acrosome in the head of the sperm, the mitochondria and midpiece, the axoneme, and then the long tail that wiggles in order to make the sperm motile. Spermatogenesis is shown in figure 27.14. It shows how the larger cell, 2N means a diploid cell, 26 chromosomes, steps 1 and 2, and then in meiosis 1, this is the first division of meiosis, and after this there are only a haploid number. It's a half, 13 different chromosomes. So each spermatogonium forms 4 different spermatids that then develop tails and become mature sperm. Semen is the liquid that contains the sperm. It is, on the average, somewhere between 2 and 5 mLs of fluid. Most of it comes from the seminal vesicle, 30% from the prostate fluid, and then about 10% is composed of the sperm and spermatic duct secretions. During the male sexual response, this semen will be ejaculated into the female, and that is discussed in section 27.5. If you will follow along with figure 27.17, you will see excellent photos, or diagrams rather, of the neural control, as well as the what happens in the sperm, in the penis, and the testes in order to ejaculate into the female and form a new baby. And that is all of section 27. Thank you very much again.